Greetings, YouTube. In October, a law in Maryland is going to eliminate the statute of limitations for sex abuse lawsuits. I have no idea if it affects the criminal aspects of sex abuse. It would be nice if it did. There shouldn't be a statute of limitations for rape or sex abuse. None whatsoever. Don't stretch it from 7 years to 30 years. And in some places, it's as short as 5 years. No, eliminate it. It can take a person decades before they begin to process what happened to them. My abuse took place between I was 12 and 14. It took me until I was in my late 30s before I even began to process what happened to me. Yeah. So yeah, eliminate that. And of course, people are going to say, well, it's happened a long time ago. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whatsoever. The wounds in me are still there. I still remember. And if I can still remember, then the people involved should still have to pay. And that should be held the same for all those of us who've suffered sex abuse. If you have been abused as a child or an adult, when you finally come to grips with it and you're ready to move forward, criminally and civilly, you should not have to worry about a clock. You should not be fretting over a timer. The Jeopardy music should not be running in the back of your head where you're trying to grapple with the gravity of what happened to you. So I'm thrilled that Maryland has made this decision. But you see, the Archdiocese in Baltimore has said if this law goes into effect, they may go bankrupt. That there are so many lawsuits that are current that if the statute of limitations disappears, the number of sex abuse cases that they will be sued for will balloon so large that they will go bankrupt, which means they knew about them a long time ago and they did nothing. And they know about them now, and they know that if those come to light, if those people can now sue them, they're going to go bankrupt. You see, I don't think they should be allowed to go bankrupt. If they reach the stage where they're going to say, we're going to go bankrupt, no. The state should step in and say, we're going to seize all of your assets. Every single penny, every piece of property, everything. And hell, I would go after the personal finances of all those involved in these. All the ones that hit it, go after their finances. All the ones that committed it, go after their finances. Take every penny away from every person that was involved or hid this from the public eye. And if you can, go after the Vatican. Drain their coffers, because the Vatican knew about it too. And Ratzi the Nazi stepped down because everybody knows he had a whole lot of shit to do with covering that up. And everyone was afraid that second silken red slipper was going to hit the ground if he'd stayed in power. That's the reason he stepped down, because he knew that his position was in danger, and that if he were in power when it finally came to light, that would be bad. So he stepped down and let somebody step into those silken slippers, who apparently is better than Ratzi the Nazi, but still is hiding too much, is still in charge of the largest single organization of social conservatives on the planet that are doing material harm to the entire world every single day. But the folks in Baltimore, yeah, take all their money and start throwing them into prison. Why don't we use RICO here? It was a conspiracy. It was a form of defrauding people, keep making sure they can't sue them for the monies that they deserve. It was a conspiracy. They were hiding crimes. So why isn't every single person that has ever been involved in the Baltimore diocese that helped hide the crimes of their own members from the public, why aren't they in prison? not just the individual priests that did the molesting, all of those that enabled them to do the molesting. In fact, the entire Catholic Church has been doing that for centuries, just moving problematic priests from place to place to place to place, dumping them into new communities that know nothing about what they've done somewhere else, so that that priest will then have access to a whole new community that they can prey upon. The Catholic Church is nothing more than organized crime. That's what they are. They are an institution of organized crime. And that is using social conservatism both to hide their crimes and to do material harm to the world, because they are pushing a socially conservative narrative which is hurting people, which is causing people to die because they're not getting the health care they need, because they're living lives of misery, because they stay in marriages and they get beaten or killed because they stay in those marriages, because their priest said they have to. But right here, right now, those folks in Baltimore, we should be going after them with gangbusters. Just throw in every single branch of the judicial and criminal government that we can at every level. Municipal, county, state, and federal. Just keep pouring them into that community until you break the will of those priests. Because that is a nothing compared to what they did to their victims. They should all be held accountable. They should all be brought to justice. And every single one of those victims should get every single penny that they deserve.